So I fucked up the scaling and you're not gonna be able to read the command prompt. So sorry. Everything's gonna be blurry. I'm so sorry. Forgive me. Hey there everybody. It's Ella here with LPHK, LaunchPad HotKey. Yes, it's been a while because I have been busy with work. But guess what? I've been back and I've done a lot in like a week, basically. But before we get to that, I want to say huge thank you to pretty much the only patron that I have right now. So here, this is my Patreon page. Originally, I created this because I needed to buy the LaunchPad Classic. In order to develop for that, I needed to get one to test with. So I needed about $100 for that. So I made a Patreon page, and well, I got one patron, and he private messaged me and said, "Hey, if you need some cash to get a LaunchPad, just let me know. Give me your PayPal." I sent him a reply, and literally within 5 seconds, it was like maybe a minute, I don't know, but Corbinane gosh, dude, I really want to pronounce your name right, but Corbinane Mag. Thank you. I'm sorry. Thank you so much, dude. Like, he literally dropped me enough money to buy that LaunchPad. It's going to be shipping out on the 11th, but once that gets here, it's probably going to take me maybe a week or two, because depending on how busy I am with actual work, you know, it'll take me about a week or two to get all of that put into LPHK. And well, what I'm going to do is it's going to be right here in LaunchPad. See how it says Connect to LaunchPad Mark II? I'm going to add Connect to LaunchPad Classic /S/Mini because they're all basically the same from a software perspective. So yeah, looking forward to that because I've gotten the most, like, you know, maybe 20% of the comments that I've got, 30%, maybe even more, have all been like, "Hey, I have a LaunchPad Classic, or I have a LaunchPad Mini, or I have a LaunchPad S, and really want to use this. It's so cool, but it doesn't work, right?" I'm like, kinda, yeah. So anyway, that's that. I just wanted to get that out of the way before we started because that just happened today, and that, like, wow, that's so cool. That's so cool. Like, thank you so much, dude. And hey, just thank you guys for being so interested in it. Like, I've been seeing people are starting this like every day. Like, people don't start things on GitHub unless they actually care about using it. Like, that's cool, man. People are forking it, you know, it's so cool. So anyway, without further ado, I actually want to do an official rundown of just the features as of, what is it, 1/31/2019. So basically, I'm just going to go through this README and sort of do a guided tour and show you live on LPHK, the actual program, what it looks like to actually use these sort of features. So if you don't know what LPHK is, LaunchPad HotKey, basically it's a project to turn the LaunchPad, or, you know, there are a few different versions, but to basically turn as many versions as possible of like these grid instruments by Novation into a macro keyboard. This particular model, the Mark II, can be RGB, so it can be any color of the rainbow, any of these keys, and it has this a little bit of tactile feedback, but it is still very soft, and you can map it however you want. It's it's just perfect for a macro keyboard. The only thing that could make it better is if it was a mechanical keyboard, which I've been thinking just for, you know, gits and shiggles, to make a, you know, PCB, because I am an electrical engineer, just to make a little PCB with a bunch of, you know, Cherry MX switches on it or something, and just make it mimic the MIDI stuff from this LaunchPad, and just, I mean, get a clicky LaunchPad and maybe, you know, sell it on Tindy or something. But anyway, that's just after I actually get LPHK, you know, to a good point where it supports as many LaunchPads as possible and has all the features that people need. So that's the idea of LPHK. It uses a simple scripting language called LPHK script that I sort of modeled off of Ducky script. And, you know, it has a little script editor. We'll get to that. But basically, it has enough features to implement loops now. That's one of the big things I've added, loops. We'll get to that. It has the ability to you know, press keys, open up web pages. It has a lot of, you know, a lot of things to do with it. So first of all, you're going to need to install this. So I'm primarily targeting Linux and Windows for development. So this can be installed on a Macintosh. I don't really have access to a Macintosh personally, so, and also, look, I'm computer savvy, but when I'm at a Macintosh, I don't know where anything is. I feel like an old grandmother. I don't know. So, so I only have install instructions for Linux and Windows. If somebody wants to, fork this and then add something to the README about how to install it on a Mac, if you have, maybe a video proof that that actual installation works, then I will approve the merge and we can go ahead and add that in. I'd appreciate that actually. But other than that, I'm going to go over briefly here how to install it on Windows first and then Linux. Windows, you have to actually install Python 3.x, so you go to python.org. But by the way, I'm going to be putting timestamps in the description so you can get to different chapters. So you can install Python on Windows right here. Go to python.org, downloads, Python 3.7.2, and it'll just do that. That's it. That's all you need. I'm actually going to cancel that. You run that, and then when you're installing it, you need to check that option. It'll make things a lot easier for you just later. You also need to make sure that you do a custom installation and ensure that pip and tcl/tk and idle are selected for install at minimum. Honestly, if you have the drive space, I just recommend installing pretty much everything because it might come in handy. I don't know, or do whatever you want. As long as you put this in there, this program will work. Next, you need to clone LPHK into a folder of your choice. Really, it doesn't matter. It's basically a portable program. Everything inside, you just need to copy that entire folder. In order to clone it, if you have installed it to the, if you've installed Git on your computer, if on Windows, you have to actually install it because it's not pre-installed. On Linux, it is pre-installed, but anyway, you can actually just type clone and then you go up here. Or you can actually, you could get GitHub Desktop as well if you want to download and install a program for it. Then you can actually just click a button and it'll always be updated. That's a kind of good way to do it, I guess. But you do have to install another program. So you go to clone or download and you can just copy that and go to GitHub Desktop and add repository, something in here, file, something like clone repository right there. But honestly, if you don't want to deal with that, you could also just clone or just download a zip, and also that would open it in the desktop automatically. But you could also just download a zip of the current iteration. Once I get to a sort of finished state, I am going to start making releases that are stable and tested and won't have any bleeding edge features that might break. But in general, I'm going to try and keep everything in here fairly clean and working. So anyway, that's pretty much how you would clone it on Windows. And then after you've cloned it, you need to run this as an administrator. And so install dependencies, we'll go ahead and actually, I'll show you what it looks like right here. Open up my other monitor. Actually here, sorry, that's me editing the code. Let me move this to a new instance. There we go. All right, so, oh God, what's happening with my mouse? Okay, so yeah, pretty much you can see that it just, turns that going off, and then it literally just runs a pip command, which pip3 is the package manager for Python. So it installs Pygame, LaunchPad.py, PyInput, Pillow, TK Color Picker Keyboard. These are all things that the program uses. So it doesn't run anything weird. It literally is just pip3. So is that basically you just right click, run as administrator, and that would do its thing. It has a prompt. So that's running that, and whoops. So after you've done that, basically you can just right click on launchpad.py and you can go open with, and then you actually want to go to your Python folder and find it. Just follow the details in here, but yeah, I say I already selected it. So basically what I can do is I can double click this. And sorry, whoops, I'm already running it. What am I doing? But yeah, sorry. So that's what it looks like when you double click it. You can actually see here, I have a sort of semi-transparent output from LPHK, and then this is the window itself. So that's how I've done it here. I've also got the Launchpad right here, semi-transparent, so we don't actually block anything up by accident. So yeah, that's basically how you do it on Windows. Linux is a lot simpler. Linux, it should have Git installed by default. So you just literally type git clone and then this Git address up here, right? So you'd go clone or download, copy that, and then git clone that. Just, git space clone space that. So it should be installed by default, and if it's not, then you just have to run whatever your package manager, sudo apt-get install, sudo yum install, whatever you're doing. But yes, so after you've cloned it, you pretty much just have to run, install dependencies.sh with sudo. So you can see I'm going to actually open that one as well. And then move that over to a new instance as well. There we go. So you can see that this one, it does a little bit more. First of all, it tells us that it's bash script, but it actually does need to install some fancy things. So first of all, if it's not already installed, it's going to install Python 3 pip, Python 3 distutils. That's used for certain functions inside of the library. I forget off the top of my head. Setup tools, it's used for something. I needed it. Python TK, that's TK inter, that's the actual interface. Pill, that's the image library, Python image library, and that's the TK one, and then that just automatically says yes to installing them. So it installs some prerequisites, and then after it does that, it does pip3 install, it does all the pip3 stuff. So that's all she wrote for, actually installing everything. It's a two-liner pretty much. And then most distros will let you actually just double click on lphk.py to run it. But if it doesn't, you're going to have to look up a distro-specific way to associate .py files with the Python 3 binary. So basically, yeah, at that point, it should just run. And that's pretty much how you install it. So actually using the program. So we'll get to that right now. So let's go ahead and, first of all, connect to LaunchPad by going to LaunchPad, connect to LaunchPad Mark II. Again, that's the only one that's supported right now. It didn't throw an error and it popped this grid up, which means that we are successfully connected. And if I press some buttons, you should see that you get some unbound button outputs up here. So we have successfully connected. And the first thing to note is that there is a mode here now. So there are a few different modes. Edit mode is just where you click on something and it brings up the script editor, which is pretty much the same as it has been in the last few videos. And let me actually load a layout. For example, all delays, all gay, which is pretty much just a bunch of delays. And it's just rainbows. So this is very useful to show off actually the different methods. So move will basically allow you to take a button and move it to another button. So it will actually unbind this button, so it'll be an unbound button, and then it will move it here. So you click it, it highlights it, then it does this, and it actually tells me that if I move it here, it will potentially overwrite this bound button. So I can choose to either overwrite it, swap the two of them, so they literally just swap places, or I can cancel the action entirely. I'm going to overwrite, just so you can see what it looks like. And so you see that the button right here went ahead and moved up here, and then that other button got unbound. It moved the script as well, but in this case, all the scripts are just like delay one pretty much. So that's the move function. And actually, I'll show you what the swap looks like. So you can swap them. See that those two just swapped right there. Now we can also go into swap mode. Now swap mode, it will never actually delete anything. It will never overwrite anything. It's a very safe mode to be in. So you'll never get a warning prompt. It's a very fast way to move things around. So you can just go doof, I don't know, like doof. It's really fast to reconfigure things because you will never overwrite anything. You're just moving things around sort of like a 15 puzzle kind of. But yeah, so you can pretty quickly scramble the entire thing up that way. And then copy, for example, let's say you've bound something to shift and you want to make it over 2 keys. You can just go doof, and like the other move function, if it goes to a bound one, it will say whether you want to override it, swap it, or cancel. Overwrite will copy the new one to it. So if you look up this one more time, it'll go back to edit mode. And that's pretty much everything there is about the modes except for edit mode. So, in edit mode, this is where we actually enter the scripts. You can see this one is pretty simple. It's just delay one. We could actually import scripts up here. So examples, there are a few different ones. I might actually want to add some more. I don't have the Half-Life 2 accelerative backhopping script or the wall climbing or flying script. So I might actually export those from one of the layouts I have over here, but for now it should do. Basically, I'm going to get into the commands and the syntaxes and stuff here, but you enter whatever script that you do here. You can export the script by itself, and this script actually isn't used when you press any buttons. It's literally just an individual file. I mean, it's literally just a text file of the script, and it has an LPHK script extension. So that's useful if you want to share it or something on the Discord, and you don't want to, like, you know, copy and paste a bunch of code or something, right? So yeah, there's actually, by the way, that's another feature. I didn't mention this actually, I totally skipped over it. Yeah, at the top there's a Discord, and of course the Patreon you saw, but there is a Discord. So you can see here I was actually talking with Corpsian, and there are a few other people I was talking with. I do update this in the project chat. There's also I had no one's posted yet, but this is where you can share some of your scripts that you really liked, what, you know, or you can request how to do something or just talk about the language in general, off topic. And then of course there is a voice channel. So actually you may notice that, you know, he has a high roller rank because he donated a lot. And you can actually get different roles on the server. Currently, as long as you donate $1 or more, you will get access to a few extra features like text-to-speech, I believe, is one of the, you know, patron-only features, but it is linked to Patreon, so that's kind of cool. But yeah, so you can share stuff there by, you know, exporting scripts and just sharing them. Once you've typed your script out, you can select a color with this color selector. So this is actually a good time to bring up the fact that I am going to be developing for the LaunchPad Mini S Classic, which are not an RGB keyboard, they're a red-green keyboard. So this color selector will let you pick colors that are illegal. I would really like to see about modifying this one to basically just show up to where the green is, and then like, you know, loop back to red. This is a library that I'm using. It's the TK Color Picker. So I might actually just, you know, fork that code and then make another module that is just TK Color Picker RG or something. But let me know what you think, if you have any better ideas or something. But either way, you can pick your color, hue, saturation, and value is actually the brightness. So it'll make the key brighter or dimmer and keep the same color more or less. So click OK, and then you can bind the button or unbind the button. In this case, I'll just, binding the button will bind it, but that's the way that you would actually delete buttons if you didn't want to deal with the other modes or something. And so after you set up what you want, you can actually save the layout. So if you click Save Layout, it will save, if this is a layout that you opened and then you modified it, it will save it to the same file name. Of course, Save Layout As will just prompt you for a new file name, and if you save it to the same file name, it'll say, do you want to overwrite this file? You know, you could actually make a new layout or load layout, but since you've modified this layout, making a new layout will say, hey, whoa, do you like, are you sure you don't want to save the script or save the script as or discard it? I want to discard it, screw it. But I added the, and also the same thing will happen if you exit. So that's nice. I added that because I lost a few, I lost a few layouts and I realized this is bad design. So, all right. So yeah, without further ado, let's go over to LPHK script. So basically, the first thing I want to go over is scheduling. So actually, let me load a layout. Let me just load up Alt Delays All Day, which is the same thing, a delay of 2 on everything this time. And everything's blue, so you can see things a little bit better. So basically, you can see that all of these are just delay 2. So when you run a script, it will blink red, and then, or it'll blink quickly red, and then it'll turn off, right? You know, when you have another script scheduled, those will pulse red and then blink red, right? And then one runs after another, right? Unfortunately, these function keys out here don't support the blinking or the pulsing. So you can see that when they are scheduled, they're orange. And when they run, they are solid red. Another thing that you can do is if you tap on a scheduled script, it will unschedule it. Tap on a running script will cancel it mid-execution as quickly as possible. So I can just kill all of these. And so that's the scheduling system. I put that in another video, but I figured that this was a quick summary just for an intro to the entire process of making something for the LaunchPad. So the next section is headers. And the first thing to note is that headers define a very large overarching part of the program. I'm not sure exactly how I want to take the design from here. I think I'm going to try and make it so that you have one header and that they just put the program into different modes. And then if I want a specific mode, I'll just add another header because they kind of do a lot of crazy shit. So the first one that I want to note is the @async header. The @async header would basically just ignore the scheduling system. So if I want to put @async, if I want to put @async up here, and I can go ahead and just copy that, bind button, like I don't know which one I bound that to, wasn't paying attention. Bind button, bind button. Yeah, let's just do these three. Bind button. So you see, if I schedule these down here, they'll be doing the scheduling system thingy, but these ones will run completely independent. So that's useful if you want to have, multiple scripts running at the same time, but it also can be useful to, in certain conditions where you want only one script or the other, or one of 3 scripts or something running, the scheduling system can be very handy for that. I actually use that in the Doom playthrough. Well, playthrough of the first level, I think, badly. But anyway, so the next header that before I go on, I also want to say that headers have to be on the first line of the file. Oh, you want to put a comment before that? I'm sorry, you can't do that because you know what? Those headers are the most important thing for the program. Like literally, I need to parse those first before anything else. And I don't want to bother with trying to parse past your comments. I don't want to remove them because I want them to show up in the console so you can get a live dialogue of what's going on. No. Just they go on first, put in header, and then put a comment saying what's going on. If a bunch of people complain, I'll change it. But until then, no. So anyway, the next header we're going to go over is the @simple header. So basically, this one is a way to very quickly just make one of these buttons mimic a standard keyboard button, just basically directly. So it makes this code right here @async, and then it does a press of whatever argument you give it. And then it does a wait on press, which is a command that we'll get to, but basically it halts the execution of that script until the button is released. I don't have that set up yet on this particular layout, and then it releases it. One caveat that I have added in a little bit later, going back on this, is that with the @simple header, there cannot be any other actual commands. It can only be white space or comments. So this is basically just a template. You could literally only have the @simple header and then maybe a comment after it or something. So let me show you what that looks like. So let me go ahead and new layout. Discard. So I'll go ahead and bind WASD right here. So @simple W @simple A. I think that's, yeah. I actually am thinking about making it so I actually am probably going to do it, make it so that these are highlighted just like it is in the other mode so you can see which one is being edited. Because I do say which one it is up here, but I mean, I'm not a computer. I don't think in coordinates. I mean, I'm a mathematician, but look, leave me alone. Anyway, @simple S. Here we go, and then @simple. It should be noted that these commands all need to be capitalized because I like basic. Anyway, and so now you see that we have basically WASD, and I'm going to show that off in the script editor. So you can see ASDW, and it's worth noting that I can press multiple at the same time because I have that equivalent of an async header. So yeah, this is pretty much exactly what you need for playing video games, or I don't know if you want to type something on here and do memorization with the colors, like weirdo. So yeah, don't worry about that. So that's the @simple header. Comments are very useful. Again, they have to go after headers, but you can go presses a key. Wowie, I don't know. You can just, you don't even need to put a space there if you don't want to. But it's just ignored. And you can see that yes. So you can see that it should note a comment. Press a key, wowie. There you go. So All right. Now on to the bulk of the thing. It's the commands list. So first thing, we're going to go through the utilities. Delay, you've already seen that. Pretty much it just delays it for argument 1 seconds. You can enter in, let me just select red for this. You can enter in a integer like you saw before, or a decimal, and it will work just the same. So here is one thing I need to bring up. The program did not stop working. LaunchPads, you notice how I adjusted it slightly? Yeah, the USB connection, it like jiggled barely. And now it's disconnected and I can't do anything. So this is a good opportunity to show off the reconnect feature. Okay, so don't know what happened there. I'll be honest, sometimes the USB library, it's hit and miss. Let me just be honest. But basically, if you don't jiggle the connection, like if you don't breathe, if you don't look at it, if you don't do anything related to its existence, it'll work fine, pretty reliably actually. That is literally the main reason why I want to make custom hardware, so I can make a USB connection that like screws in or something. I don't know, or maybe even just literally just a cable that's perma attached to it, like a mechanical keyboard or a regular keyboard, I suppose. So anyway, yeah. So that's the delay feature. Let's go ahead and let's go ahead and close this out. That's the main folder. I had to open this again. The next feature is go to label. So actually, first let me describe what a label is. This is just in alphabetical order. A label is basically a function that doesn't do anything, sort of like a comment. So if I go label start, it can be named anything you want. It could be named 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm pretty sure any printable characters work, if I'm not mistaken. It's Python. That's pretty cool. So I'm going to do start. And then I'm gonna say, let's say, tap, which is another feature that I'm gonna get to, but basically just doof, really quickly taps the key. Tap E, delay 1, and then go to label. Sorry, underscore, start. And so when this command is run, it doesn't really do anything. But when this command is run, it will literally take the program and it'll pretend that it comes up here. So, you know, programs run line after line. What it'll do is it'll say, oh, I'm actually going to pretend that the line that I'm at is right here, and then continue execution. So this will forever tap E once a second until I kill the script, or it should. So let's go ahead and go over here and just run that. And you'll see that it is typing E constantly until I kill the script. Okay, we're back. Don't know why that didn't work. It should have killed the script. Let's move on. So if pressed go to label, essentially it does what it says on the tin. If the button is currently pressed, it will go to the label. So in that situation where it looped forever, it should in the future be able to tap that and it will kill it. I want to be able to do that so to, like, I don't know, farm something on an MMO, or I don't know how you'd use it. Maybe auto ABH and literally you don't have to hold the key down, I don't know. But basically, if press go to label, it's sort of the same thing except for you have more control of when it stops. So I'm going to go ahead and do label start, tap E, delay 0.5, if pressed go to label start. And so now over here, if I hold this down, it'll do E, 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 E. I let go and it stops. So that's good. The next one that I want to show you is if unpressed go to label. I'll get to if pressed repeat label. We'll get to that in a second. Let me just show you what if unpressed go to label does, of course, it makes kind of sense. If unpressed, go to label, right? So if I go ahead and go over here and I press this and quickly release it, it will continue to run until I hold it down and press it again. Sort of kind of the same thing that is supposed to happen is with the go to label, and then killing the script with scheduling, but I don't know, that's just another way to do it. It might be useful in some other situations where you're trying to whip up some sort of script and you need a feature kind of like that. If pressed repeat label is and actually, sorry, I should also go over repeat label too, but basically all the repeat label commands are sort of like a go-to label, except for it only does it a certain number of times. So repeat label start, and then it has to be an integer, so let's say 3. So this will type E, and then type it 3 more times, so it'll type it 4 times total. So watch this. Bam, typed it 4 times. And so, you know, if pressed repeat label, you know, if it's pressed, it will repeat it, otherwise it will end the script. So if pressed repeat label, so this way you can do up to 3 automatically. So up to 4 automatically, and it will not go more than that. Or you could do 2, let go, and it'll stop. That might be useful in some circumstances in games. Again, you know, you can imagine that there's an if unpressed go to label as well. So I mean, go hold that down, let go. I can go hold it down, let go, and press it again, and it'll stop. So yeah, that's pretty nice. Let's see. Sound. That's another utility thing. So you can go ahead and just basically play sound. Make this a soundboard if you want. So it'll support, what is it? It's like MP3. No, it doesn't support MP3s, unfortunately. It does support waves, FLACs, and OGGs. So if you have some MP3s, you can use Audacity, which is a free program. I'll link it down in the description. But basically, you can use that to convert it over to like a wave or an OGG or something. But let me show you what that looks like. So sound examples air horn.wave, and then let's make it a volume of 10. So yeah, you can see that it actually uses the user sounds folder, and then I have some examples in here, and there's air horn.wave, and then this is the volume out of 100. So bind a button there, and then ta-da! And then you can see that I personally can't hear that, because I've made it so that, so I can't hear it basically, so that it doesn't double the audio for you guys. But you can see that if I do it like, I don't know what, that one I heard a lot. I heard that one a lot. Anyway, that's the sound one. Wait unpressed is, you can see that it's used here, but basically it pauses execution until it's done. Actually, tell you what, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna open up another layout that I've already made. I want to discard the changes. Yeah, so you can see here in the Doom script, you actually have to hold down Alt and hold down right at the same time in order to strafe. So this one, you can see that it doesn't run asynchronously because I only need to strafe in one direction at one time. It presses Alt and continues to hold it down, presses right, continues to hold it down, waits until I've unpressed the key, releases right, releases Alt. That's a good example of the wait unpressed thing. Web basically just opens a website. So web, let's try github.com/manage/lphk. And so that'll open with the default browser that it'll just type it into the bar. It will open it just like in whatever the default, behavior is. Usually it'll make a new tab in the window. Web new does the same thing, but it attempts to make it in a new window. Usually it doesn't work. Supposedly it does work in some situations. I didn't write the library. I just put this feature I don't know. But hey, that's the thing. So you could try it if you want a new window. All right, let's move on to key presses. You've already sort of seen these, press, it just presses a key. Actually, the key needs to be valid, so pretty much any single character key on the keyboard works, and then Special ones like space and stuff, you'll see the labels down there in a moment. Release does the same thing, and tap does the same thing. We'll get to the, actually, let's go ahead and look at those right now. So these are all the different keys that are, supported for those 3 commands. It's, Alt, just space, shift, left shift, right shift, tab, volume, and actually does have some media keys, volume up and volume down, and next track, play, pause, mute, a few things like that. I can actually add more media keys. You guys just need to recommend them to me, and if you have them on your keyboard, go ahead and go to the, this is the way that you guys can actually contribute. Go to the utils section, run get key codes. Oh, I think you need to run it inside of a environment. Run module. So yeah, you need to run this inside of idle, which should be installed with Python when you install it the way that I showed you for Windows. Or in Linux, you can just run it in the command line. It's a lot easier. Or Windows, you could run it in the command line if you want. But basically, type whatever key you want. So for example, if I want that's the select media key, right? If you want me to add that for some reason, you need to give me that scan code, and then I can add it to the program. But anyway, so that's how you can help me out with key codes, but otherwise, these are the ones that are supported right now. One last thing in the key presses area is the string function. So that literally just types out whatever is after it. So string, wow, this is so cool. So that shouldn't break it. Yep, that did not break it. And so it escapes all these weird characters perfectly. This is very useful for making templates of code. So I like to make for templates and if then else templates and switch break templates and stuff. And then just make this, auto type them out and use this. I actually use the LaunchPad to write more code to make me be able to use my LaunchPad more. So I really like this string function a lot, and you can use it also for, I guess, trolling servers. But if you do that, I will find you and I will kill you. Anyway, the next thing I want to go over is mouse movement. So there are a lot of mouse movement commands here. The most simple of which is the mset. And so that literally you just enter a coordinate and it sets the mouse to that coordinate. So m set, and then let's say 2,400. That should put it onto the second monitor I have here, I think. I think I put too big of a number. So what is it? Oh, that's right, because this monitor is a little bit smaller than 1920. So 500. Yeah, so you can see that moves my mouse cursor onto right here. Actually, I can make it move it onto that button that I'm pressing. Check that out. So the next most complicated command is mmove, which basically it moves the mouse relative to where it is. So if I go 100, 100, it will go ahead and move it like that in steps of that. You can put any value you want here, integer values. I don't think it works with floats, right? Yeah, it throws a syntax error if you use a float. It only works in integers, but you can put 0 on one of those if you want. So the next function I want to cover is the mline function that moves the mouse from one point in a straight line to another point over time, with all the intermediate points being touched in the process. So if I go ahead and type mline, I'm going to enter the first coordinate, which is going to be, let's say, 1300 by 400, and then the second coordinate, which is 1500, 400. And by default, if you can just apply those if you want. Oh, mline not valid. Did I break something? I broke something. As I was saying, basically this moves in a straight line between two things. I already explained it. So let's go 1300, 400, 1500, 400. Bind button. Yeah. Okay, so you can see that it does go kinda. You can't really see it moving because it just goes so fast. So it's actually if it's not supplied, it just delays by 1 millisecond between each one and goes one pixel by 1 pixel. So let's actually supply the delay between them in, let's say, 100 milliseconds. So now, let's say, actually 100 oh god. It is going, just very slowly. So you see if I try to move my mouse away from it, it'll remove it back. So yeah, that's gonna take, actually I'm gonna kill that. Let's change it to 10 milliseconds. There you go. So you can see that it's moving it in a straight line. That's kind of nice. Let's actually, let me show you that you can actually skip. So it's going by 1 pixel, but if you want to move a little bit faster or choppier for some reason, I don't know if that's going to be useful for you in some way, but you can skip it to every like 3rd frame or something. So it's going to be a little more choppy. Let me actually go 10 frames. So you can see that it's really getting choppy now. Let's go skip. Let's go 50 actually. Let's actually slow it down a little bit so you can see what's going on. So you see how it actually is just doing discrete points now. But yeah, those are the other 2 arguments that you can supply. Those are optional. Let's move on to the mline move command. Pretty much exactly the same thing, except for it moves it. It basically replaces these first 2 arguments with your current mouse position. So that's very useful for just moving in a straight line. That's actually what I used for drawing the mazes. So I'm going to just literally delete this, and it will move the mouse in a straight line from wherever I am into, yeah. So you see it'll move it there. Let me set this a little bit faster. That's too fast. Yeah, so I made it slower because it's been a long day, guys. Give me a break. There we go. Look at that smooth line. Oh, baby. And then actually, you see if I set this to like 100, it'll move relative. So it'll only go boof, and then boof, and then boof, boof, boof. I like it. It's nice. That's useful for, I don't know, maybe some MMOs or, I don't know, anything that you need a line for. mline set does the same thing as mline move, except for it sets it from your to a specific position from your mouse cursor. So set. So if I go 1, 5, 0, and 100, do 1, it'll go to that exact position every time, no matter what, at the same speed. So that's nice. That can be useful for anchoring and then doing relative moves or something. I don't know. What else we got? We got M move. I already showed you that. M recall. Actually, for that makes sense. I need to show you M store. So that's actually kind of cool. You can make it store your current mouse position and then later in the same script, recall it. Now it can't remember your mouse position from before the script run or another script. Currently, if you guys really need that feature, I guess I could add it, but for now I'm just going to keep it local in the script, so as it's running. So I'll do, once this is pressed, M store, and then wait unpressed, and then M recall. And so what that will do is, so let's put my mouse over that, move it anywhere I want, and when I let go, it'll move it right back there. So if I go doof, doof. M recall. So that's, let's see, that's M recall. M recall line does the same thing that does what you might expect, I suppose. So yeah, it moves it in a straight line. Let's slow it down a little bit. 10. So again, you don't need any coordinates here. First coordinate's wherever you let go. Second coordinate's this. But yeah, so you can see that this is just the delay between. So that's kind of nice. So yeah. What else have we got? M scroll. That is just, it's scrolling. It's using the scroll wheel. So M scroll. It's in units, I guess, lines. I believe it's in lines. So if I go scroll one line, that should scroll. Oh, it's not even a line. It is actually potentially literally pixels. I forget. It's an amount. I usually just tweak it to whatever I need. So 100. So that'll scroll up. If you want it to scroll down, you just put negative. There's actually another thing. You can also scroll horizontally. That would be the second argument. It's optional, but that would scroll horizontally. Of course, GitHub doesn't have horizontal scrolling because horizontal scrolling is evil, and anybody who does it is probably going to hell. I'm sorry. It's written in the Bible somewhere, I think. Anyway, let's see what else. Yeah, that's pretty much it. That's it for the mouse commands. And so with the mouse commands done, that seems to be everything. Yep, looks like it's every command that I've covered here. One thing that I should note is that in any comment or any script anywhere, you just can't have any of these because these are used in the file format. So if I type LPHK button sep and press this button, the world will explode. No, it just throws a syntax error telling you can't do that because it says you can't do that. So anyway, with that being said, that's pretty much how you use LPHK script in its entirety, which is nice. So one thing that I do want to say is that if you're using, for example, Half-Life 2 or anything from the source engine and you're using raw input, well, that won't work with this Launchpad. So, for example, I was trying to get bunny hopping working in Half-Life 1 and need to move the mouse side to side while doing some crazy strafing. I just can't wrap my head around. My hands won't do it. So I wanted to move back and forth, but I was using raw input like people recommended, and raw input takes the mouse input directly, bypasses all software, and just puts it straight into the game. So obviously, if it bypasses all software, LPHK can't touch it. So if you want to use the mouse in a game and it's not detecting it, make sure there's a setting to turn off like raw input or something. That's the only issue that I really noticed right now. So let's go over the future plans for LPHK, basically. First thing, of course, is adding support for LaunchPad Classic, S, and Mini. They're all basically the same thing from a software perspective, but basically, like, honestly, tons of comments are pretty much just the, LaunchPad Classic, S, or Mini wanting support. They want support for that. You guys want support for that. So, again, thanks to Corbinain Meg, I'm sorry, I don't know how to pronounce it. Thank you so much for just getting that for me. Like, thank you so much. So, I mean, stay tuned. I'm hoping, it's going to be shipped out on the 11th of February. Hopefully, I'll be able to put the features in by the end of February, depending on when it actually arrives. Maybe definitely sometime before March, I would expect, because I really want to be able to use that mini and take it with me too. So, that'd be cool. And also, somebody actually on a YouTube comment asked about the Behringer CMD Touch TC64 Innovation Launchpad Compatibility Mode. Fairly certain that this is under the same umbrella as these three launchpads, so I'm fairly certain that should work, just in compatibility mode. After that, I want to add script status icons. So you can see that I've actually already made the icons right here. So I want to add a running icon, I want to add a scheduled icon, I want just a script is bound icon, and then, see that these are going to be highlighted. I do want to be able to let the program function as a layout editor without having an LP connection. So basically, that means that, when you disconnect from the Launchpad, it disappears. You can't edit it. I'd like to keep the saying no Launchpad connected, but you could say edit layout only mode or something. That'd be nice. I'd really like to add syntax highlighting to the editor. Actually, let me open up another layout. Let's go with the Undertale layout. So you can see right here, it's a bad layout. It's a very simple layout in terms of the commands. But yeah, the Half-Life 2 layout is probably the most complex one I've done. So you can see here that there's no syntax highlighting. I'd really like the command, when you type a valid command, it pops out somehow or something. And then when you have an invalid argument, it turns red or something. I don't know. Highlights, strings differently than it highlights special characters, differently than it highlights, I don't know, just I'd like, comments are highlighted, headers are highlighted, headers in the wrong place are highlighted. I'd really like that. It'd be nice. So let's see. I also want to add the ability to scale the GUI. So right now this is a hard-coded. You can't change the size. I mean, most people are having their monitors in large enough modes where it shouldn't matter, but like if you have a 640 monitor, like that's, I mean, might not work. So I really do want to be able to add that ability to scale it. Let's see what else. I want to add support for the LaunchPad Pro. I know there are people out there who have the LaunchPad Pro and want to be able to make macros for it. The goal of this project is to let you just like use your LaunchPad, any LaunchPad, as a macro scripting, like keyboard. So I do want to add support for the LaunchPad Pro. The thing is, it costs money, and also I don't think it really makes a great macro keyboard because the library that I'm using, LaunchPad PY, does not support analog feedback at all. It's digital, so at some point you're pressing and it turns on, and at some point you're letting go and it turns off. If you don't know that the LaunchPad Pro, it actually doesn't have this. Yeah, sorry, click. It doesn't have that. It's just like you're pressing on like a squishy silicone pad that doesn't give, it just squishes, right? And it's pressure sensitive. So, I mean, you don't get any tactile, you do get the lights, right? Oh, nice. You do get the lights, but you don't get any tactile feedback. In addition, you'll notice that when you're using it for gaming, your hands rest here, or I mean, I guess, but you have buttons here. I mean, yeah, sure, if you leave them unbound, it's not gonna do anything painful, but like, still not great, right? So yeah, another thing is that the LaunchPad Pro costs money. I'm really happy that I was able to get a LaunchPad Mini to develop with, but the LaunchPad Pro does cost a bit more. Not much, but it does cost a bit more. So maybe eventually, eventually I will buy one, but I mean, the way that I'd be getting it sooner than later is if people donate on the Patreon page, or I mean, do what Corbinane did and do a PayPal donation. I'm pretty sure that way it doesn't take any percentage out of it. I think that Patreon does take a percentage, I'm pretty sure. But anyway, once I get my hands on a LaunchPad Pro, by my own self, I'll do it. And if somebody else, drop some money for it, or multiple people, help contribute the money for it, I mean, then, well, I'm kind of obligated to put it higher in the list then, because people have shown that they know they're serious, they want that. But if you're not able to, I mean, no pressure, of course. Like, I mean, I'm doing this because I love it. Like, I know people buy the launch pads and maybe like don't use them, right? Like they buy them thinking it's gonna be a cool musical thing, and then they realize, well, it only sort of does clip launching in Ableton, and yeah, you can do, the LaunchPad 95 extension and stuff, but like, they realize that it may not be as awesome as they thought, and they want to use it for other things. So I do realize that is probably an experience that people who buy LaunchPad Pros also have, and even if they don't, even if they use it every day, they still want to be able to use the macro keyboard if they want, when they're not making music, that they could be really cool, and they don't want to buy another LaunchPad just for a macro keyboard. So I get it. I do want to add features for that, but it's lower on the list for primarily that reason, that I don't have one, but also I'm not really trying to get one urgently just yet, because like, I mean, it's, again, this feature, this stuff right here, the tactile feedback and stuff, it's not, and also a lot of people haven't been asking for it. Like 2 or 3 people have been asking for it. So if you want the LaunchPad Pro, you gotta raise your voice and tell me, but, or buy me one. That's also that's really loud too. No, but, or, lend me one if the shipping's not too bad or something, but it might be lent to me for like a month or 2, because I am busy with work. But as long as you're willing to lend it to me for maybe a couple months, then yeah, I could probably add the features with that. So on to the rest of the things. I'd like to add a macro recorder wizard. Now that's sort of like a little bit more of a pipe dream. I actually probably will be adding more features that just make the GUI a little bit more usable. I've been nice, and then maybe some more features in the LPHK script language as well. Before I do this, any of the things below here pretty much, but it'd be pretty cool. You could like, it would record mouse movements, it would record typing things. I would maybe try to find a way to detect web page open, I don't know. But I would be able to record at least basically, keyboard and mouse macros. I'd like to be able to add an add command menu, sort of, that acts like a wizard for creating commands. So you could automatically capture your own function key or something. So like want to capture one of these function keys that I haven't added, and you don't want me to wait for me to add the feature or fork it yourself or something, I might be able to add just the straight up, I'm pretty sure I can just add straight up scan codes as well. You might be able to literally do that, I think, and if not, then I can add that feature at some point. But that'd be nice, just so if I don't have it in the language, you can put a weird number and it'll still do whatever you want it to do. You know, capture, you know, the mouse, like, oh, where do you want me to click or whatever, right? Capture keyboard events. Now, another thing that I do want to add, I'm kind of scared of it, but I want to add a CMD one that runs OS commands. Now, the problem with that is that, I mean, that could be very dangerous. So this is going to be a giant icon, and it's going to like warn you when you load the layout, when it checks the syntax, before you first run it. It'll say you need to run it first to see what it does. Be warned, if you download it from the internet, it could be malicious, could delete your hard drive. Make sure it's not RMRF or something, you know. But that would be kind of cool. Again, it needs to be multi-level. So like, hey, are you sure you want to bind this command? No, but like, it could really fuck shit up. Do you really know what you're doing? Even if you know what you're doing, it could still fuck up. I take no responsibility. All right, game on. That's pretty much what I want to go with for this. I also want to add an add load layout thing so that you just press a button in one layout and it literally just swaps to another layout. So theoretically what you could do is you could link layouts together so that these buttons like swap to completely different layouts. I think that would be pretty cool. It's just like, I don't know. I think there might be some problems with that, but it's low on the list. I'll deal with that later. Potentially, I might also want to add a MIDI output command. So I have made another project that's not entirely finished. It's very, very polished so far, but it is missing some features. It basically mimics LaunchPad 95, but outputs generic MIDI. So you can use your LaunchPad with any program and enter really complex musical scores and stuff. But anyway, I also might just add the ability to put simple MIDI output commands here. Somebody might want to use this with a program of theirs that doesn't actually support the LaunchPad, and they want to have macros, but they can't use the macros and the what is it, LaunchPad middleman, LPMM. They can't use them at the same time. So anyway, I might actually add a switch to LaunchPad MM button or something. I might be, I don't know, but that's super low priority. And I copied this one. So, I mean, that's pretty much everything I wanted to talk about. I just, again, I wanted to say thank you so much, everybody, for all your support. Like, I mean, it's so cool. Like, I've never made an open source project that got more than like 2 or 3 people interested. And even the ones who were interested, they were like, that's cool. I have no clue what's going on, but that's cool. Like, this is awesome. I'm so happy that people are finding this interesting, and I'm so happy that like a few people have actually started using it. Like, I've been getting, you know, I got a message from this dude who he's a amateur radio hobbyist, and he wanted to hook it up to his software-defined radio program. That's actually why I want to add the CMD command a little bit later. You know, there are musicians wanting to use it. There are artists wanting to use it with Photoshop and stuff. I mean, it's like, it's really cool, like all the ways that people are using this, and I'm just really, I guess, like happy and privileged to like be able to deliver that. Like, I'm making this because I thought it was a super cool idea and nobody had done it yet, and I'm like, well, fucking, it has to exist, and I have the ability, I have the technology. So anyway, I just want to, again, thank you, everybody. I still don't know how to end videos, so I'm just going to usher in the end of the world really quick. Bye!